If you're an 80s or 90s kid, chances are you have some random McDonald's paraphernalia lying around. I know I do. McDonald's, or Macca's, as we Aussies call it, is a global multi-billion-dollar fast food conglomerate that was founded in America in the 1940s. They are mostly known for their variety of burgers, such as the Quarter Pounder, the Big Mac, and the evergreen cheeseburger. In the year 1979, they created the Happy Meal, which is basically the kids' meal. It contained a cheeseburger, small chips, a small soft drink, well, at least it did when I was a kid, and a toy. Some of the earliest Happy Meal products, as you would imagine, go for a pretty penny on eBay, especially if they're unopened. Now, back in the 90s, the release of the newest Disney movie would always be a very exciting time. Not least of all, to see what kind of tie-in Macca's would do with their Happy Meal. Now, these of course weren't limited to just movies, as there were also a lot of Disney TV shows at that time, such as DuckTales, Chip 'n Dale, and Darkwing Duck, to name a couple. The Happy Meal toys were certainly not regulated to just Disney either, with many tie-ins with things like the Batman movie, Hot Wheels, and even Barbie. This video will focus mostly on the Australian lineup of McDonald's toys, since that's what I grew up with, and in some cases, still own. So with that out of the way, let's take a chronological look at the release of every Australian Happy Meal toy, or product, released in the 90s. Here we go. A quick disclaimer, I'll be glossing over most of the filler McDonald's themed products, like colouring books, stationery, frisbees, straws, keychains, things like that, as there's simply too much to mention, and they come out every year, and they're nowhere near as interesting as the licensed stuff, in my opinion. Before we get started, the 80s mostly consisted of the aforementioned McDonald's filler, but there were two notable releases in this decade. One being the Star Wars Empire Strikes Back drink cups, and the other was a Muppet line of car racing toys. The Kermit one in particular stands out to me because I'm 99% sure I had it, although I can't find it at the moment. Now, the 90s, this is where it gets interesting. 1990 brings us the first DuckTales set, featuring Webby, Launchpad, Scrooge, and the Nephews, in kart vehicles. As a massive DuckTales fan, you'll find it no surprise that I own all of these, with a few doubles. In fact, I still have a Scrooge sealed. 1991 brings a very interesting release, in the form of McDonald's branded food changeables, that were burgers and drinks and fries that transformed into robots. I own the shake, and I'm pretty sure at one point I had the burger. But 1991 was a long time ago. Now 92 was again filled with more generic filler products, except for the Batman Returns set that had 4 pen toppers: Batman, Catwoman, Penguin, and the Batmobile. I have Catwoman and Batman, but not the pens they seem to have come with. 1993 is our most interesting year yet, with many Disney show representation, including Tailspin, which has Don Carnage, Kit, Baloo, and Molly. I have Baloo, Don Carnage, and Kit. And then there's a second DuckTales set with Scrooge, Webby, only one nephew, and this time Gizmo Duck enters the scene. I only have Webby and 3 Gizmo Ducks for some reason, although I do love that character. Still on DuckTales, there was another release that were these weird coloured eraser things. Disney did these a few times. More Disney afternoon representation comes with Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. In this set, you got Chip, Dale, Monty, and Gadget, in some odd summer wear theme. I only have Chip 'n Dale. And going back to the erasers for a sec, this Chip 'n Dale set also had these. Not quite finished with the Disney afternoon just yet, the next set was Darkwing Duck. Similar to the first DuckTales run, this one is a racer car set with Darkwing, Launchpad, Goslin, and Honker. Regrettably, I own none of these. Finally done with Disney for 93, we have Barbie figures and X-Men sets, with X-Men being yet another racing style toy line. I suppose maybe these were easier to make than standing toys. I don't really know. Next, it's time to take a look at the absolutely stacked year of 1994. And here we are again, back to the Disney afternoon. This time with Goof Troop, featuring Goofy, Max, PJ, and Pete. And once again, sadly, I have none of these. Again, referencing Disney Afternoon, there was a Gummy Bears line, featuring Tummy, Sunny, Gruffy, and Cubby. Gruffy and Sunny, I own. Still on Disney, but a rare departure from the coveted Disney Afternoon, there was a Bambi toy line from the 1942 film, featuring Bambi, Thumper, Hoot, and Flower. Never letting sleeping ducks lie, we are back to Darkwing Duck with another set. This time with Darkwing, Launchpad, Goslin, and Megavolt. I have the Darkwing Duck. Another Disney movie collaboration in the form of Aladdin, straw grippers. Yeah, they were a thing. With this, you get Aladdin, Abu, Jasmine, and Jafar. Finally, something non-Disney of note, with a set of prehistoric races from the live-action Flintstones movie, featuring Pebbles, Bam Bam, Fred, and Barney. I have a strange nostalgia for these and the movie. I'm definitely due a rewatch. Now, while researching all this, I think I've come to the conclusion that there were actually more racing type toys than just standard standing ones. Case in point, we have Animaniacs here, with the Trio, Wacko, Pinky and the Brain, and Mindy and Buttons. Now, I wasn't massive on Animaniacs back in the day, but I did enjoy Pinky and the Brain. Lastly, to round off the massive year of 1994, we have some Goof Troop erasers, with Goofy, Max, Pete, and PJ. And now, we are up to 1995, and a few notable releases were here, starting with, yet again, Goof Troop, Squirters, whatever they are. This had Max, Goofy, PJ, and Pete. We also had a 101 Dalmatians set, featuring Pongo, Cruella, Colonel and Sergeant, and Patch. There was also a Winnie the Pooh set of drink tumblers released. Perhaps most interestingly was the bunch of Batman Forever stuff, like the 3D badges, pop-up cards, and a Gotham drink glass collection. It'd be awesome to own that. Pocahontas got its own release in the form of finger puppets, with Radcliffe, Powhatan, Pocahontas, and John Smith. Finally, we get some Lion King representation, but unfortunately, it's only a bunch of stampers. Surprisingly, but also welcomingly, DuckTales appears once more, this time as a line of keyrings, with Scrooge, Louie, Webby, and Big Time. I have Scrooge, and 2 Big Time Beagles. And just a side note on the Scrooge, I used to actually have that hanging on my car mirror. That's why it looks so sun-faded. 1996 is probably our most varied year, and it isn't just 90% Disney for a change. It was also the year of the Atlanta Olympics. So you just know that McDonald's is going to get in on that action. And they did, with the following releases. Olympic drink cups, with each Macca's mascot representing a different sport. I think I had the cycling Hamburglar one. There was also an Olympic-themed mini pinball game set, and even hats. We also had a Superman metallic toy line, featuring Clark Kent, Superman, Steel, and Lois Lane. 2 Hunchback of Notre Dame releases, one being a picture frame set, and the other a glass collection, kind of like the Batman Forever ones. There was also more Pocahontas with play scenes and another 101 Dalmatians line. A unique Australiana release in the form of an AFL Centenary replica medals collection was also there. So 1997 is something of a quiet year, with just a couple of notable releases. We had a set of Sesame Street placemats, an Aladdin line of, you guessed it, races, with Aladdin, Jasmine, Genie, and Kazim. Who's that? There was also another Hunchback set, with 4 viewers. And with its first appearance at the Golden Arches, we have Hercules, featuring Phil, Herc, Pain and Panic, Hades, Zeus, and Hydra. 1998 brings us a line from the Robin Williams movie Flubber. I definitely had that yellow thing. I can't remember a thing about the movie though. There was also a Winnie the Pooh release that actually had 4 pieces that turned into a treehouse. With what is Marvel's first appearance in years since the X-Men races back in 1993, we have Marvel superheroes with Spider-Man, Wolverine, The Thing, and Silver Surfer. And there was also a line of comic books. There was also a line of Mulan toys released, and 2 Lion King ones. One was finger puppets, and the other was a line of soft toys. Okay, it's time to party like it's 1999. Starting with a Bug's Life puzzle set. 8 in all, with 6 pieces. There was an interesting Mickey Mouse release, where you had to build him. Sort of like the Winnie the Pooh treehouse. Funnily enough, there was another Winnie the Pooh set. This time, you had to build his honeypot. Next we had Tarzan. This came with maybe the most toys out of any release. You had Clayton, Jane, Baboons, Tarzan, Professor Porter, Sabor, Carla and Baby Tarzan, Flint, Mungo, and Rosie O'Donnell. Turk. There was also a Toy Story 2 release with Ham, Woody, Buzz and Bullseye. And on the non-Disney front, we had another Sesame Street release, this time with Elmo on a skateboard. There was also the quite popular Snoopy's World Tour that featured the infamous dog from Peanuts in different costumes around the world. Notably, there was also a kind of interesting release called Changeables that had our McDonald's mascots turn into animals. And all it made me think of was the original Changeables, where the food products turned into robots. These ones seem way lamer. And finally, the last year I'll cover is the year 2000, notable for having the Sydney Olympic Games, and there was a few mascots created for these games. And of course, McDonald's was more than happy to incorporate them into your Happy Meal. We had simple standing toys with Ollie, Millie and Sid, but there were also key rings, mascot soft toys, and drink cups. And with that, we have covered the 80s and 90s notable Happy Meal toys released in Australia. These were mostly dominated by Disney, and a big part of my childhood was going to Macca's when a Disney movie just released and getting a toy from it. Sadly, Disney cut ties with McDonald's in 2006. I wonder if the film Super Size Me had anything to do with it. Nowadays, the toys and products that come with Happy Meals are often cheaply made and lacking in imagination. Now, much like my Tale of Tarzo's video, this was a deeper look into a part of culture that helped shape my childhood. It gave me wonderful memories that even now, at 30 plus years later, I can display these little plastic pieces of wonder in my games room and be transported back to a simpler time, when getting a Happy Meal was more than just a way to fill your belly, it was an experience. Thank you so much for watching. We all grew up with these, and I thought it'd be interesting to make a video about it. Much like my Tarzo's episode, I like to do these bigger videos sometimes. These are side quests. Usually I'll be doing smaller retrospective shows. That's the main focus of the channel. And yeah, well, if you liked this, please comment, subscribe, and like. Yeah, I'll be doing more of these, as we go along. I think of a topic or even a game, maybe like my Clear Obscure one, that I really want to dive deep into, then I might do something like this again. But yep, I've had this one rattling in my head for a while, so I'm happy to get it out. Now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.